What's going on, YouTube? Paulies Sleepers fans, back for a Week 13 spectacular. We got the new opening. We've got Jackson back on the show. Welcome back, Jackson.
Let's have a good week.
Yeah, great job on that intro. Jackson did the first couple pages there and spliced in the music. So thanks for working on that. Really appreciate it.
No worries. About time to make some money.
Jackson put in some more work this week, and we'll get to that later. First of all, before we get into this, we just want to ask all these Paulies Sleepers fans out there, how's your wallet? How you feeling? How's your bankroll? So if you played, you paid, and you got paid. So we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. We're going to try and keep this around 25 minutes this week, but we've got some excellent research for you guys, and we didn't sit back and say, hey, we had a great week and like relish and everything. Monday morning, Jackson, Jeremy, and I were back at it, and we've got new stuff for you, next level stuff, okay? So this is what we're going to do this week. You know, we like to switch it up. We've been talking about going to the player pool. It's player pool week, guys. So we're going to start with our 3 player pools. Tonight we're going to take this big 13-game slate down to a tighter player pool so you guys can do your own lineups. And we've been encouraging you to do this. And there's a guy that we'll talk about that's actually been doing this and been scoring more than me. So that's possible. And actually there was a week, this week the hit was 230 points, and it had everybody from our pool in it. We just didn't hit that specific combination. But we had lineups that scored 196 points this week, 197, and a couple over 200. Some 172, 180, no big deal. Just the highest lineups of the year. So my highest total previously to now has been 180, and we've been hitting on good numbers, but just several lineups in the 200 area that hit really big. So there's a few people that don't mind me sharing the hits, and there's a few people that want to remain anonymous, and we understand that. Exes and tax collectors and all. So, Jackson, how'd you do? I know you're in college and you're working your way through school, and you're juggling a lot of things. I know you didn't start with much.
No, I didn't start with much. I went to California last month and forgot to do any of my changes. My lineups had $90 in, and I lost all of it there. So I kind of been making my way back with quarter lineups and everything else.
He's playing quarters. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough going. So
I'm scrapping with change, but I made $20 last week, which only bet 10. So I mean, it's not.
There you go.
That's 50% return on investment. But FanDuel, I killed it over there. Made a $80 profit. I've done it. I started with FanDuel.
Don't shake the tape.
Sorry, my bad. But I started with FanDuel, and then kind of converted with Paul over to DraftKings. Joined him. But
so we like DraftKings better, and I've talked about this a few times. There's no kicker. It's a full PPR instead of half a point. Yep. We like the pricing better. I like the contest better. So if you're just joining us and getting started, we're going to recommend you do click on the free and see what's out there for free. There'll be free lineups that pay money every week. Also, do the casual contest as much as you can and as 100%. Long as it will let you. There'll be lower point totals that pay in the casuals. So start off with $20, and they'll do a match. So look for a code, and they'll do a match. And then I recommend you play half your bankroll every week. And there's dollar lineups. That's the 20K single back, the 10K single, the 10K safety. These are all ones that you could do for $1 or $2 and have the available. You can hit for 5,000. 500, 5,000. There's big payouts on these. We're going to do GPP this week, and we messed around and did some cash on Thanksgiving, and we hit on 2 of the 3 lineups for the Thanksgiving cash. So we'll evaluate going forward. There's going to be some cash weeks. I thought last week was a good GPP week, and it was good. So there were some stinkers last week. Kareem Hunt, just horrible. Tariq Cohen. But I switched out Cohen on the podcast on Sunday. So you YouTubers, if you didn't listen to the podcast, that was a good thing because you paid $3,800 for J.D. McKissick. That got like 9.6, and Tariq Cohen got 1.7. So that was a problem on some of my lineups that were like 196, 197. I had switched over. So I had 205-point lineups that would have hit a lot bigger, but that's all right.
You're still feeling it, aren't you?
We're still feeling the pain. I always count the money I didn't make, but I should be happy.
But when you look at that, a simple change like that, you go from making a $200 profit to making, you could have made $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a simple change like that, that's just, it's crazy.
There were people that hit big last week. The newest member of the team, Jeremy Miller, was the biggest hit with $1,350. Chad Snipes, who you know is OG Paulies sleeper, and he actually hit big on Thanksgiving. He turned a couple of our 160-point lineups into 180-point lineups and won like 300 on Thanksgiving. He won 900 on Sunday. There were several hits between 200 and 600 that don't want to share their names. I hit for almost $600. My brother Eric, who's been playing along all year, got down to $15 and played last week and hit for $120. So that's what we're talking about. So like I said, last week's behind us. Let's get into the slate and what we're talking about. So we're going to do the lineup builder this week, and Saturday we're going to try and help you with what the percentages you want to do. You can go to Roto Grinders and get a free tool that will do a lineup generator. So you'll put this player pool into the lineup generator, and then you'll put in the percentages of how much you want to play certain players. And we're not going to get into the percentages tonight because we're starting with our first look player slate, and then on Saturday we're going to add and delete, and we'll try to tighten it up as much as we can, and then we'll post one or two optimal lineups on Saturday, and then if you guys want to hit me up separately, there's lots of ways to do it. Twitter at Paulies Sleepers, on the comment section here on YouTube, if you're with me on Facebook, and say you'd like some more advice and some more lineups, I'll get you individual lineups. I just want everybody to try and build this week because Chad has been hitting better than us and winning more than us just by making a couple little tweaks. So I think he faded T.Y. Hilton in one.
Smart.
And Jackson wanted to try to talk me out of T.Y. Hilton, so that was another big loss last week too. But how about the hits? We did Tevin Coleman on the knowledge of Devontae Freeman being out, and he smashed. Now Devontae Freeman is back this week, so he's at 5,700. Tevin Coleman's at 7,200. Devontae Freeman should be at 7,200. If he wouldn't have got hurt, he would be. So he's a super value this week. Alvin Kamara, who's given us no reason not to play him. Some of the experts this week, the first take from some of these guys is his production and how many times he touches the ball, is it going to sustain? And these are the same guys that said Will Fuller couldn't do it either. Week after week after week, and Fuller did it until Watson got hurt. But my point is, don't listen to these guys tell you not to play somebody if he's been hitting for you. This guy's been hitting all year. I don't care what they price him at. If you've watched him play, his ceiling is the moon.
But he hasn't scored under 3 points. He hasn't scored under 13 points since week 3. So that floor, you take it and you run with it.
Right.
You don't make money.
If you pay it for Kareem Hunt, your floor is 2 or 3 points.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Kamara hasn't shown anything like that. And then how about Julio Jones? So I said last week, let's stay in the flames here because we don't want to miss out on this big week. I mean, I would have, if somebody would have talked me into fading him, I probably would have retired. There wouldn't have been a Paulie sleeper this week. I mean, he smashed for 55 DraftKings points. So there's already guys saying, oh, don't play him. I mean, Xavier Rhodes, he's going against Xavier Rhodes from Minnesota. How did Marvin Jones do against Xavier Rhodes on Thanksgiving?
He got 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns. One of them in double coverage on a guy that 12 men on the field. On a guy that wasn't even supposed to be on the field. That was Terrence Newman, I think, was trying to run off the field, and his 97-year-old ass.
He used his crane.
He couldn't get his wheelchair going, so he just went into double coverage. And there was PI, and Marvin Jones still caught it. So Julio's a play. Cooper Kupp paired with Jared Goff was the play last week. I knew everybody was going to play Brady and Wilson, and they did great, but Jared Goff scored the same amount of points, and that's why we did it, because he was cheaper. Robbie Anderson in these lineups was a quiet 35 points, and he scored in 6 touchdowns in the last 5 games. And he plays a horrible Tampa Bay secondary that just let Julio Jones do all his thing. I mean, Robbie Anderson isn't going to score 55 like Julio, but he might score 35 again.
Yeah.
So let's play him again. So we're looking at return on investment. And how often these guys are paying off. We really like Luke McCown this week. And
Luke McCown?
Oh, okay. Is it Josh?
It's Josh.
Well,
I think Luke's been out of the league for like couple years.
I always get them confused because they're like every NFL team has to roster a McCown at quarterback, and there's enough of them. But he deserves respect. He's got 4 top 6 finishes at the quarterback position this year, and Tom Brady only has 3. So his ceiling is as high as Brady's, and they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Their secondary's horrible. Their offense has been sputtering. If they could get ahead, that's what their problem has been. If they're not ahead, they can't play. If they can get ahead in this game because the Jets' defense has been getting bad, this could be a shootout because if they get ahead, Luke McCown's potential it might be like the play of the freaking decade. And I think his floor is like 3x. So if Kansas City doesn't play up and doesn't do much and he's not allowed to do much, I think he'll still get 250 and 2 because they can't really run the ball that much. So then we're looking at Minnesota and Atlanta this week because Matt Ryan proved his value at home, and that offense is starting to click. Julio Jones, we're going to stack those guys again this week, surprise. And we're also going to do a lot of stacks with Case Keenum. So Case Keenum's been getting it done. I know you guys have seen him light it up. And normally wouldn't look like a good matchup because Atlanta's corners are pretty good, but Desmond Trufant might sit. And Poole, their second cornerback, might sit. Remember what happened last week and why we were so high on Jared Goff? It's because Marshawn Lattimore and their second quarterback was out, so they were short those 2 guys. So this is the same situation developing with Keenum, who's been balling out, and he's $6,000. Okay, so those are the quarterbacks that I'm focusing on. It's going to be a lot of Goff and Atlanta at home, and it's going to be a lot of McCown, and it's going to be a lot of Case Keenum. So some other injuries we're tracking is Christian McCaffrey's sitting out with a shoulder. Tom Brady's sitting out with an Achilles, but
that's sad.
they're going to play.
Giselle might have to rub his ankle.
Right,
it'll be okay.
they're probably going to play. Ty Montgomery, we like Jamal Williams this week, but if he comes back, I'm not comfortable with their splits. Fournette hasn't had any kind of letter next to his name this week, and that gets me excited with him at home. We haven't played him forever, but I think this might be a smash spot. And then Julio's got no injury designation either, and he never has blow-up games like this without some sort of injury coming out of it, and this week he didn't. So that's huge. I mean, a lot of people this week also said, he never follows those 250-yard games up. First of all, quit talking shit about someone who's had 3 250-yard games at the position. No other wide receiver in NFL history has ever done it more than once. 29 players, and would you believe that Miles Austin from Dallas is one of those?
That was a game versus Kansas City.
Yeah, he got 250.
He caught an overtime touchdown to win it.
Julio's done it 3 times, so don't talk shit about Julio and don't tell me that, he won't follow it up, because it's usually because he's gone off for so much damage, he's obviously got some sort of injury because he's hurt from crushing you. Well, he's not hurt this week, so we're going to play a lot of him. So we'll get into the player pool on Saturday a little bit more when we've tightened it up. But we're going to put it at the end of the video so you can start working on your lineups. On Saturday, we'll add and delete. And if there's players that you want to add and put them in and you want to tell me about them and why you're making a case for them, leave a comment and say, hey, how come you're not bringing up so-and-so? Like somebody might say Marvin Jones because he just smashed. Why aren't we talking about him? I just don't like the matchup.
Nope.
So we'll get into Jackson's turn here. He's got some players that he really wants to talk about and why.
Yeah, I mean, so starting off with the quarterback position, one guy that kind of catches my eyes. He already talked about McCown, but Rivers, he's second-ranked quarterback on the pricing breakdown. In the past 4 weeks, Cleveland's allowed 6 touchdowns. Or no, it's 7. But that's been to the likes of Dalton, Bortles, Stafford, and Keenum. I'm pretty sure Rivers is going to throw the ball, but I mean it's just a good week for him. And I mean he's been throwing the ball a lot, over 32 attempts. But his yard totals in the past 3 games are 235, 251, 434, and 7 passing touchdowns. I think he's a good play.
He's 7,000. Yeah. So are you paying for him before Brady at 7,800?
Yes.
Okay, but I'm on the road.
Yeah,
Buffalo.
But my go-to is probably McCown. I mean, the only thing that scares me about facing Kansas City, they just got Revis, and he's really good.
So do you want 08 Madden Revis?
Yeah, with the Vince Young on the cover. I want that.
Oh, okay. So, well, if you could get that, then we're looking at a shutdown secondary. But somebody asked me about that the other day. They were like, well, Darrelle Revis is good. And I'm like, well, he didn't sit on the couch for 10 weeks for him being good. Yeah. No one else thought he was good.
Yeah, he's
Kansas
trash.
City's just that bad that's what they've resorted to. So that's why I like McCown a lot.
Yeah, he's trash. I mean, when I go to my running back position, first person that kind of catches my eyes, and he can attest to it that I've been on this guy for weeks and weeks and weeks, and he's not really been a high on it, is Marshawn Lynch. In the past 4 weeks, the Giants have given up 604 yards on the ground just to the running back position. In his past 3 weeks, Lynch has carried the ball 51 times for 191 yards and 3 touchdowns, as well as catching the ball 6 times for 60 yards. Now, that is tough playing him on a DraftKings standpoint where it's a full-point PPR, but on FanDuel, I think he's $6,200. Like, he's guaranteed to get you at least 60 yards and maybe a touchdown. That's at least 10 points.
Well,
so
I fade him because he has no involvement in the passing game. But I looked at his game log, and yeah, he's averaged 2 catches the last 3 games. I mean, yeah, that's not lighting it up, but that's enough to get me over the hump. Yep. He's also scored 20 DraftKings points in 2 of the last 3 weeks, and he's at home, and the Giants secondary sucks.
Yeah, and they just put Janoris Jenkins on IR, but they're going to be without Crabtree, who him and Talib just need to make up and get a new necklace. Then you got Cooper, has an ankle injury, and I think he's out with a concussion too. And then, I mean, it's just it's a really bad matchup for the receivers for Oakland, so why not run Lynch into the ground?
I like it. I'm totally on Lynch this week. He's $4,800. I actually told Jackson this week that I was on a few players that he usually tries to talk me into, and he doesn't have to talk me into that much this week. So moving on, you like a couple more running backs?
Yeah, my next one's probably McCoy. He is high priced. He's not I think he's like the 5th or 6th highest, but I mean his home road splits are ridiculous. Let's listen to these. At home, he's averaging 4.5 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, 116 all-purpose yards. While he's on the road, he's only averaging 3.4 yards per carry, 1 touchdown, and 78 yards total purpose per game. Okay, we're going to play McCoy at the Ralph.
Yeah, and New England's going to put up points, and they're going to need their best guy. And he, is PPR machine. Yeah. I like his price at $7,600, mainly because the only person I'm paying above that is Kamara, and it goes down to McCaffrey at $7,200, which I want a lot of him this week too. But then it goes all the way down to Freeman at $5,700. The other thing I was going to say this week is we're not going to need a lot of sleepers. I know this is Paulies sleepers, and we've got a few, but we're not going to need as many this week. There's so much value. The last running back you like is one going against our team.
Yeah, going against the Colts, Fournette. He didn't play Week 7. He was actually...
I was at the game. There was no... that was a surprise inactive.
And that was the week we put in Ivory, and he got that early touchdown. I was like, dude, we're going to smash. And then all of a sudden he fades out, and Yeldon was actually the play.
Yeah, we played Ivory that week, and they were going to feature him, and he got hurt very early and ended up being TJ Yeldon. Well, there's no questionable tag on Fournette this week like there always is, so that intrigues me a lot. Yeah. I'll pay up for him too at $7,800.
But I mean, even in that Week 7 matchup, the Colts allowed 188 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns to the Jags. Give me Fournette, quite possibly the greatest running back to come out since, I want to say, maybe Gurley. I mean, nah. And
he hasn't had much use these last few weeks. They've been trying to get him back healthy. I did hear that his ankle looks like a sock. And I'm not even joking. That's going around. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I heard that it looks like a rolled-up sock.
He's still a good play. I mean, he's a beast. They want to feature him.
I think he's $8,800 value at $7,800.
Oh, 100%.
So wide receivers?
Wide receiver, the person I will play in every one of my tournaments, every one of my cash games is DeAndre Hopkins at $73.
100%. So he's the Julio Jones this week?
He is my Julio.
I agree 100%.
So, and I think it's 7 career games versus the Titans. This is his total stats. 58 receptions, 930 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He's only been in the league for 3 or 4 years. Okay, we're playing Hopkins at $7,300. End of story. No debate. No comment.
Yeah, there's nothing much more to talk about. I looked at his game log for the last 6 weeks. He's got a floor of 16, and everything else was above 20. So you're paying for 20 points, and you're getting 20 points. And they targeted him a lot. I talked about it last week, whether it's Watson or Savage or whoever's throwing him the ball. They know that they got to get the ball in the best playmaker's hands. They're at home, and they're going against Tennessee secondary, which it's going to be the guy covering him is that guy that went to USC.
Dory Jackson.
And Dory Jackson. Yeah. He couldn't get it done. He hasn't really come together as a rookie yet. So the only person he can really play is Juju because he played against him on the practice squad.
I'd agree with that.
College. Hopkins is this week's potential Julio. And so I like some lineups and getting them both in there because, like I said, other than what other people are saying about him, he's given us no reason whatsoever not to play him. And his floor this year is like 13.
Yeah.
What he's getting on a bad week. Now I know you're not paying for 13, but like I said, when you pay for that kind of production and you get 13, that's still better than Kareem Hunt's 3.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference in your lineups too.
So the other wide receiver we like.
I got Cooper Kupp. I mean, this year Tyrann Mathieu has been torched out of the slot. I mean, for example, he gave
These Honey Badgers on him?
Yeah, Honey Badger going against Cooper Kupp. Even I think it was like week 5 or 6, Kupp faced him and he went for 4 for 51 and 1 touchdown. But I mean, on the year, Matthew's been torched by Golden Tate, 10 for 107 and no score. Nelson Aguilar, a USC alum, 493 and 1 touchdown. Baldwin went for 5 for 95 and 0. I mean,
he's getting torched.
And with no Robert Woods, I mean, you're going to keep throwing the ball to
Robert Woods has not returned to practice. It is going to be the Cooper Kupp show. I completely agree. There's a couple guys here that we smashed with last week that we're not getting off of. I mean, Kamara, Julio Jones, Kupp. We're going to play all these guys. Your sleeper, Jackson sleepers.
Yeah, I found me a sleeper, and he's going to be in 100% of my cash game and tournament lineups. So it's kind of scary. I already have 2 of my positions locked down. But it's Dontrell Inman at 3,900. You can probably ask me who does he even play for. He plays for the Bears. He goes up against Dante Johnson, who ranks 107th out of 118 corners on Pro Football Focus. Johnson this year has given up stat lines of 4 for 70 and 0, 2 for 62 and 1, 7 for 63 and 1, and then 6 for 106 and 2. I mean, for 3,900, you just need 9 points to make value.
I like that play. I think it's matchup independent.
Yeah.
Because if 49ers can get it going on with Jimmy G, they're going to have to throw the ball more. And if they sputter, then that's going to be more time on the field for the Bears. I mean, I think this is going to be an ugly game. But we've been targeting San Fran's secondary a lot this year, and they are just horrible. They have 3 of the bottom 15 in the league. It's inconceivable that a team would start 3 guys that bad when a team like the Ravens rotates 3 guys at 2 positions that are better than any of their best guys. I like it at home. I mean, that's a Hail Mary, and some of our Hail Marys have not been hitting. So also when you pay that low for somebody, it allows you to load up and get a lot of these other guys. So if they do crap your team and get 3 or 4, you could still smash. Last week, even with George Kittle, 0. I tried not to talk about that too much, but we did kind of feature a Paulies sleeper that got 0 last week. I think everybody's going to, let me slide because we had 190-point lineups. But we're going to move on to tight end.
Yeah, tight end. I mean, there's obvious plays. I mean, you got Jared Cook and Hunter Henry going against the 2 worst teams against the tight end position. I mean, either one you can talk yourself into. I mean, you're not going to go wrong. But the person I am locking down is Delaney Walker. In 5 straight weeks, he has 12-plus DK points. And then they go up against Houston, who is allowing the 6th most points to the tight end position. And in the past 5 weeks, Houston's allowed 4 touchdowns. I mean, it's a smart play if you want guaranteed floor of 12 points. Take it and run with it.
Great play. He's a man among men. I was at the Colts game last week, and he caught one in quadruple coverage. I'm not even joking. Mariota's struggling, and he's turning to the one guy he can rely on, and Walker's getting it done. So, yeah, he's must-see TV. He's a must-play. I totally agree.
So, but yeah, that's my pool. I mean, I'm really happy with it.
So we're going to talk about Cook and Henry too.
Yeah, Cook. He goes up against the worst team in the Giants. They've literally given up a touchdown to the tight end position. I think it's week 13 and 11 out of the 12 weeks.
And he might be the only game in town here. I mean, they might be minus Cooper and Crabtree.
Yeah.
Crabtree's off playing MMA.
And honestly, I don't think Cordarrelle Patterson's going to be the knight in shining armor to save that offense. But, I mean, in the past 3 weeks, they faced Travis Kelce, who went for 8 for 109 and 0. Garrett Selleck, who was a Paulie sleeper, went for 4 for 67 and 1. And then Jimmy Graham, 3 for 51 and 1. So, I mean, I don't think this is a week to pay above $6,000 for a tight end. I think it's the week you pay between 56 and 47. You're getting solid floor, but you're getting a high ceiling as well with Jared Cook, Delaney Walker, or Hunter Henry, who goes against the second worst team against a tight end position. And I just want to read you these stats. I went all the way back until I think it was week 4 of this year to find a game where the Cleveland defense has not given up a touchdown to the tight end.
It was Travis Kelce, wasn't it? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think it was Doyle. I really think it was
Jack Doyle was the one guy that didn't score. Yeah, he's a great play. I mean, I don't play him a lot because he's got that goose egg or 2-point potential,
Yeah.
but so does Kittle.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't mind paying for him with that at home with that great of a chance of scoring. They're so bad at that position. I like it. I mean, that's another guy that Jackson's on a lot that he has a hard time selling me on. This is one reason why I'm extra excited about this week because Jeremy's new to the team and he's brought a whole new element to this. But Jackson's been with me since the beginning. And, when I'm excited about guys that Jackson's excited about, I feel even better. So that's a great analysis. Thank you. And then we're going to roll out here in a few minutes to our player pool as it sits now. You can start playing around. This is the Sunday slate, so nothing locks till Sunday, and we can add and delete later. Just real quick, there's a couple guys I wanted to touch on that are going to be in a big majority of my lineups. Adam Thielen. So Desmond Trufant and Poole out for the Falcons. This has got blow-up potential all over it. I'm going to want to do lots of Sanu too. Of course, lots of Julio Jones again. And Stephon Diggs is $6,200.
GPP.
And he's got $7,800 potential, and this is GPP. And they're missing both of their cornerbacks. So this might be a good week for Diggs to break out. You know they love getting him involved. And he has 2-3 touchdown upside if he starts getting on point. So he's a guy that so far no one's talking about that I really, really want to key on. Also, Ricky Seals-Jones.
Who?
Yeah, so Ricky Seals-Jones for Arizona has Blaine Gabbert throwing in the ball. There's reports today that the coach and ownership believe that Blaine Gabbert could be their starting quarterback next year. Seals-Jones was second, third string with Blaine Gabbert on the practice squad, okay? And 2 weeks ago, he had 2 touchdowns in limited action. I delved deeper, like, is this guy for real? Which is what the GM said this week. The GM publicly said this week that 2 weeks ago, he thought the same thing as the rest of us. Like, yeah, okay, outlier, got lucky, had a good game. Let's see if he does it again. Now, when he did it again, now he took notice, and so should you. That's a practice string player that has come up with the quarterback, and this is something I always look for. If they want Blaine Gabbert to be the future, I think that Seals-Jones is going to be a big part of it. Larry Fitzgerald has said he's going to play one more year, but maybe he'll pass the reins. This is a guy that's one of these guys like Evan Ingram that's not a prototypical tight end. He was actually a top 5 wide receiver recruit coming out of high school. And then Texas A&M made him a tight end. So he's very fast too. So I wanted to touch on Thielen and Seals-Jones because we love them. Thanks for sticking with us. We kept it under 30 minutes. That was about my goal. We're going to fade out to some different music. Hopefully you like it. This is the music we had the last time Jackson was on and our player pool. So have fun this week and hit me up if you have any questions at Paulies Sleepers. Paulies Sleepers on YouTube. Paul Lundgaard on Facebook. Thanks, Jackson, for coming on again. And Jackson did the podcast with us this week, too, and did a great job. So we're going to look to have more of this. So thanks. Have a good week.